Welcome to another exciting episode of the Issues on Voice of the People TV, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Jerry Apeleohai. Today on the Issues, we delve into contrasting legacies and political battles shaping Nigerians' present and the future. As the nation mourns the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, Senate President Godswill Akpabio hails him as a patriot, while some Nigerians on the street, and of course those who have contrasting views, believes that there are a lot of things to remember about him that were not, however, really interesting. But not everyone shares that sentiment. As far as his legacy is concerned, the Yoruba Union fiercely rejected Buhari's legacy, accusing him of enabling herdsmen violence and turning a blind eye to the suffering in the Southwest. Meanwhile, the 2027 political landscape is already taking shape. Dr. Farah Dagogo, former federal lawmaker, says the ADC coalition can unseat President Tinubu, but only if unity, reform, and leadership grounded in principle are restored. He doesn't shy away from criticizing the current administration and calls out both the PDP and National Assembly for failing Nigerians. Stay with us. After this short break, we'll dig deeper into these topics and more. Don't go away. Welcome back into today's discussion. Farouk Aliyu, a close ally of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari, says it is unfortunate that some Nigerians have gone online to rain insult on the former Nigerian leader who passed on Sunday, July 13, 2025. He said though Buhari had his shortcomings, the former president should not be denied of gallants for his achievement. He personally signed a statement. Meanwhile, Akpabio praised the Buhari's leadership style and personal character, highlighting his anti-corruption stance, commitment to democratic values, and simple lifestyle. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two esteemed guests here in the studio. We have Dr. Peter Anosike. Dr. Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. Great to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. And joining us virtually is Bishop Dr. Godswill Bob Manuel, Public Affairs Analyst, the former National Vice President, Institute of Strategic Management, Nigeria. Also joining us is Austin Aigbe, a Political Affairs Analyst. It's great to have you join us on the issues.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is that Austin Aigbe?
Yes, Austin Agbe's voice.
All right, great to have you join us. Let me start off with Dr. Anosike in the studio so as to bring Austin into the conversation eventually. What do you think about Buhari when you remember his time both as a military dictator and a civilian president?
Well, for me, I'm talking about myself.
Okay.
I was in class 3 in 1984, 1st of January 1984, when it should be Joshua Dogonyaru that announced the December 31st coup that ousted Shehu Shagari and the Kwame administration. And the next day, they announced Buhari as the head of state. That was 1st January 1984. And the first thing that Buhari did was to change the currency at that point in time, which brought a lot of hardship to Nigerians. Understand me? So, and from that time to now, I'm still feeling that pain. And I'll continue to feel that pain. So what I always remember Buhari as is somebody who inflicted pain on the Nigerian masses. That is why in 2015, I campaigned vigorously against him, that this guy cannot rule this country, that is a devil. And up to today, that he has died has not changed that mindset. So I remember him as somebody who caused serious pain, serious hardship on Nigerians. I don't know what other people remembers of him, but that's what my experience tells me. Whenever Buhari is mentioned to me, what comes to my mind is pain and hardship.
Let me now go to Austin there. I just want to start off the show with this because definitely everybody wants to remember for something. When you hear the name Muhammadu Buhari, taking a look at his military dictatorship days and even when he became a civilian head of state, which though some still say it was not really different because he was hard on dissenting voices. But what do you think about Buhari when you hear the name?
All right, thank you very much for having me. I was much younger than my co-guest. Apparently, 1983, arguably, I would be in like primary one, something like that. But eventually, the only thing I remember as at that time, even though I remember that slim, fair, young officer who came in as a major general, I would later know as a major general. But the most important thing you remember with Buhari from the very beginning as a military head of state is war against indiscipline. I recall that as we were so young, on the bus stop where we live, going to school, then when your mother is taking you to school, usually there's a queue. So there was some level of serenity, some level of peace. I recall following my dad to the bank and everybody queued up. It was some level of discipline. Whatever you expect from a military regime, of course, if you recall what Abacha did, you expect a lot of some kind of crackdown, dissident voices and all of that. But most importantly, that during Muhammadu Buhari as a general and as a head of state, it was war against indiscipline. Arguably, that was a reason most people supported his return in 2015. And don't forget, that was not the first time he was contesting election. He began to contest in 2003, 7, 11. 2003, 2007, 2011, and then 2015 until he became president. And most of the people who eventually organized around him for that election, particularly the 2015 election, was recalling those issues around whether Buhari has changed as a military head of state, whether Buhari remained a general or a military head of state. And at the end of the day, Buhari came out and said it was a changed individual. It was no longer GMB. It would like to be called PMB, that it was not a Democrat, someone who was seen to have repented of those things, arguably my colleague on the other side has talked about. But importantly, if you look at Buhari's architecture during his first time in office, a lot of signals were sent. And for 6 months, even though you may classify it as weakness in leadership, for 6 months, Buhari's body language ruled this country effectively without ministers. So what happened? After he appointed ministers and before you know what was happening, where it became a challenge. So those are where issues around governance architecture of the man Muhammadu Buhari became a subject of controversy in this country. I'd like to stop here because there's a lot of things to talk about.
All right, quite a very interesting way to look at it. But let me go to Dr. Anuske. Given Buhari's acknowledged shortcomings, do you think his achievement genuinely outweighs the criticism against his administration?
I don't know any of his achievements.
Okay.
As a military head of state, he was a dictator, understand me? It was him that sent people to London to kidnap Umaru Dikko. It was him that sent people to London to kidnap Umaru Dikko, understand me? It was him that jailed Ondoka Erabo and Tunde Thompson. It was him that when Ogedegbe and others were arrested, he proclaimed a decree and backdated it in order to execute them. So this guy is a devil. And that he has changed, he never changed. That he is a change Democrat was a fabrication of the media. Buhari never told anybody that he has changed. Understand me? He never told anybody that he has changed. He remained that Buhari he was until his death. Even as a civilian, he had no achievement. It was him that messed up this economy which Tinubu inherited.
Okay.
I keep on saying, under 2015, he inherited an economy that was suffering from malaria. Understand? In 2023, Tinubu inherited an economy that was suffering from stage 4 cancer. So, except those who stole under his administration, nobody can remember him for good. Except those who stole under his administration, nobody can remember him for good. This is the guy who gave bandits, herdsmen, the boldness to be terrorizing everywhere. Understand me?
Yes.
So those who are praising him are mere sycophants. There's nothing good about him.
Okay, definitely a lot to look forward to, because let's now talk about Buhari as a person. When he came on board, and they've been talking about the 12 million votes he was bringing, which definitely was not enough for him to become president. He made several attempts. Let me take this to you, Austin. What would have happened to that 12 million votes? Because it was a major talking point just some weeks ago about whether Tinubu...
That's last week.
Yeah, just last week here. That whether Tinubu helped him to become president, or whether Buhari didn't need him. He just had added just mere 3 million for him to become president and all of that. What that happens to that 12 million vote, Austin?
Thank you very much. But before I go to the 12 million vote, let me quickly state, maybe my co-guest will remember, that Buhari, in several occasions, mentioned he was a changed man. He did, publicly. He also mentioned that I wish it was the time he was a military head, he knew what to do. That this democracy is limiting some of the things he would have loved to do. He said that. When he was more younger, there's a lot he would have run with. But right now, he acknowledged he was old. I'm not making case for Buhari, because I have too many of the things that he did wrong that I would love to say. But I would not also want to sweep under the carpet the things he directly said. And of course, there are many things he said. For 12 million votes, it's already clear. We have had an election after Buhari. In 2023, nobody inherited 12 million votes. Jagaban could not inherit 12 million votes. And at least the argument about whether Tinubu made Buhari or Buhari made Tinubu, either way, is that his argument is that the number that Tinubu brought, arguably, is about 1 million votes. So, but without that 1 million votes, Buhari, who has always contested the election, would never have been a president. So sometimes your historical 12 million will amount to nothing if you are unable to win in an election. Because in the Nigerian election, it is first past the post. It is simple majority. However, there are grounds for electoral college that require you to have 25% in two-thirds of the states of the federation, which is 24 states or 25 states. So having said that, the 12 million vote in the 2023 election was arguably shared, which means Tinubu got some vote from that 12 million. Atiku got some vote from the 12 million. And of course, maybe, arguably, maybe Peter Obi didn't get any from that 12 million because most of Peter Obi's votes were largely south, of course, part of Plateau, not Central. Or I mean, arguably, because the vote is from Plateau too, it means he got a piece of the 12 million. Because Buhari historically has always won certain of those northwest states that where Obi eventually got some votes. Buhari never really won any of the southern states, not even the south states. So it was largely supposed to be like a northern president with his 12 million votes. But he needed a southern collaborator. And that's where the likes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. And of course, with the formation or the emergence of the APC, that eventually galvanized support to collect pieces of votes from the south. Otherwise, he would never have been president with his 12 million votes. If you recall that election, it was just, I think Buhari got whether it's about 15 million votes, and Jonathan had about 12 million votes that caused him to win. So the 1 million votes and the pieces of vote he must have gotten from the south, part of southeast. Even he himself acknowledged that 5%, 7%. You remember that statement that landed him in trouble against the southeasterners, where it eventually resulted in what is called the marginalization of the southeast, that eventually erupted in the Biafra core, the core for Biafran state, and all of the things that later would Nnamdi Kanu will later bring to fore. That the southeast didn't quite give him vote, but he got 5% of the vote from an historical location where he has never really got vote. So those votes, if you add them up, arguably led to the 3 million, assuming he always secures 12 million from the north. But the 3 million that eventually led to his victory would have come from the south, whether southwest, southeast, or south-south. But arguably, in the next election going to 2027, that 12 million will remain an historical conversation. How I think that Atiku may get more of a 12 million vote, understanding that a new leader will emerge from the north. Buhari used to be the star, the political leader, even though it doesn't now seem like that. With his death, I'm sure you would have gotten feedback of videos from the north, particularly in his own state, where there seems to be some very differential of the kind of observation some of us are having in the south. Because in the south, we say we don't speak hills of the dead. But that's not what I see in the north. Particularly in his own state. 12 million, again, will be shared because it has been shared already in 2023.
All right, let me go to Dr. Nosike. What happens to Buhari's 12 million votes now that he's no longer...
Well, for me, the 12 million votes is a hype. It is a hype, understand? He has 12 million votes. He has 130 cows, understand? None is dying, none is giving birth. 2003, Buhari have 12 million votes. Nobody is dying. 2007, Buhari had 12 million votes. No procreation. 2011, he has 12 million votes. Nobody is getting angry. Understand? Nobody's jumping ship. No politician in the world has ever knocked down a particular number of votes. Understand? So it is a hype. Understand? But that has been his marketing strategy. Understand? And that's how the North has also been nodding it over the South, that they have 12 million votes knocked up somewhere. So it is those 12 million votes that we are jubilating in Katsina and in Kano states. Understand? And they are assuming that jubilation was going on in the southeast. They have started killing people in the north. Understand me? So it is them that is jubilating that they are Messiah. Understand? Because that's because up to Saturday, there's no northerner that has been as influential as him. Unless we'll be talking about Amadu Bendo. Understand? So assuming that there are these 12 million votes, and they say when the shepherd is killed, or the sheep will scatter. Understand me? So those 12 million votes by now have already started scattering. Understand? So, but who will inherit it more? I feel that Atiku is going to inherit the proverbial, that's what I will use.
Proverbial
Proverbial 12 million votes.
Because you can see that most of his boys are already joining the coalition.
They're already in
So there
in
was
ADC.
already anticipation that eventually when the ADC comes on board, whoever the candidate is, that the Buhari might be showing support towards that candidate ahead of the 2027
Yes,
election.
because when El-Rufai said that he consulted Buhari before defecting, last time Mandami and others are already in ADC. So many of them will go into ADC. And for now, there's no Northern and life that will be more popular or more influential than Atiku Abubakar.
Okay. You say that the popularity will now swing automatically to Atiku?
Yes, but the benefit that Buhari has is that Northerners are not comfortable with people looking rich. That's what a lot of people don't know. They are not comfortable when you are looking rich. They see you as a thief. So that 419 simplicity that Buhari was using, like somebody who will not see the next day, is what he used to brainwash them. Understand me? So, but Atiku looks differently from Buhari. Atiku looks
Rich, super rich and robust.
robust and rich.
Okay.
Understand me? But since there's no more Buhari, I think that Atiku is going to be, or the North is likely going to rally around Atiku because he's far ahead of Kwakwanso, Ganduje, and others.
But the NN people don't agree. They say that he's going to inherit the 12 million votes.
NNPP.
Wanko, so yeah.
Because of what?
Because he's the next in line. They said he should be able to take the 12 million votes.
He wasn't one of known Buhari's apostles. I mean Kwankwaso.
Wankwaso.
Kwankwaso has been in PDP until 2015.
Yes. Okay. Let me go to Austin there. Taking a look at Buhari, when he came on board, some within the, talking about the academic circle who understands the history of democracy, says he was the Abraham Lincoln of Nigerian democracy because he contested 4 times and didn't get it until the 5th time before he eventually got it. And of course,
No, he got it at the 4th time.
at the 4th attempt, I beg your pardon. He tried 3 times until the 4th attempt. He even gave up at a time, saying he was no longer interested. But he came back and eventually won under a coalition. And of course, his tenure was nicknamed Baba Go Slow. Let's not forget the terminologies that was given to him. There was slow in talking about naming ministers. Even the budget was slow. He was sick for a very long time in his first tenure. And of course, the rumor about his, talking about his death, that was Jibrin. I remember he even gave an interview where he said the most annoying comments he heard from Nigerians was when they said he's Jibrin. He said he was not happy with that word, that people started calling him Jibrin, that it was not Buhari, that was in Aso Rock. And of course, we also remember him for saying that the woman belongs to the other room. Yeah, a woman belongs to the kitchen and the other room, calling Nigerians lazy. But let's look at some 8 things, because even the Guardian has brought out an article where they said 8 things he will be remembered for. Talking about this dispensation, because we're not going to his military era right now. Let's not forget what happened in NSAS. Austin, what do you think about the NSAS, the way he managed it?
So I can you hear me? I think I missed some of the commentaries. The internet was slow. So if you could just
I just want to phrase
Hello?
it to during the NSAS. What do you think about the way he handled it? Because a lot of Nigerians are calling him out for what happened during the NSAS.
Sorry, sorry. Hello, were you speaking? Sorry, can you just go back like 10 seconds? Let me just know.
Okay, I was just talking about what do you think about the way Buhari handled the NSAS? Because Nigerians are still calling him out for the way he handled it.
All right. Thank you very much. In fact, that was the highest politicization that Buhari got himself into. Buhari made a huge mistake to have used the NSAS or politicized the NSAS to look as if some young people from the South were intending to remove him from office. That was, for me, the height of political conversation that ought not to have happened. And that sent a wrong signal to ethnic division further in this country. And if you take that further, with the End Bad Governance protest, people began to refer to the NSAS movement that you wanted to remove a northern president. Now it's your turn. So you now want to remove southern president. It became an ethnic challenge. Rather than solve the greatest problem that young people were bringing to the fore, Buhari will rather turn the tide and use his state architecture to mobilize people who were now anti the protesters, and it resulted in a lot of collateral damages. Up to today, families who were shot, who got bullet wounds or eventually died from the toll gate disaster will never forgive the person called Muhammadu Buhari. Even though till tomorrow, we still don't know who made the call. You remember that slogan, who made the call? Who made the call that brought the military to the protest ground? Who made that call? Was it President Muhammadu Buhari? Continue to dominate the Buhari administration. And whether you like it or not, there are a lot of mistakes that former President Muhammadu Buhari made. You know, the challenge, like you said, Baba goes slow to decisions, slow to policy directions, even though, you know, sometimes in this, our narrative, even though Buhari may have done 5,000 good things, one bad thing can easily erode all of whatever you think is good that he has made. And like my colleague earlier said, sometimes you don't even remember what he did. Part of the things you remember, it will be the anarchy situation. For instance, the NSAS protest, the slow movement, the manner in which he related to women as a cluster, that women belong to the other room, and so today is becoming like a comedy, a comic relief when you are in the midst of certain individuals. Where are you in the other room? And you have a conversation with a man, and you're asking the man, are you in the other room? Meaning something else. And people have used that very comically. A lot of things didn't go well with a person called President Muhammadu Buhari, particularly in his 8-year term. Don't also forget, having contested 4 times to become president of Nigeria, he cried on the 3rd attempt, where Nigeria almost got burnt because of losing that election in 2011. He wept, and Nigeria, particularly northern part, erupted in violence. And he said he just wanted 1 term to turn Nigeria, in quotes, this is not his words, maybe a Dubai of a Dubai. Apparently, if Buhari had not become president of Nigeria, would have blamed former President Jonathan if he has forced himself into power in 2015. To say that if Buhari was the president in 2015, maybe Nigeria would have become America. Maybe Nigeria would have even gone ahead, first world country. But we soon realized, rather than move ahead, we just soon descended to almost an oblivion state, almost a state of irrelevance. Nigeria became a laughing stock in the Community of Nations, particularly to the point that the former Prime Minister of the UK, we use words fantastically corrupt or something like that. I can't remember the verb then, you know, and it was referring to our leadership. It doesn't make any sense at all. But again, the time we are now is to focus even more on those who are alive and who are in power. When we speak to those who are passed on, because Buhari is so recent that he just handed over about 2 years ago. So Nigerians still feel the pains of the agony of the 8 years term. And now there's somebody at the saddle of responsibility of leadership who should be able to listen, not to the hallelujah voice, all those who clap hands for people. No, it should read more of what people are saying against the regime, against the person who once was supposed to be the best leader of Nigeria, who eventually turned to almost like the worst leader of Nigeria. Those in the saddle of responsibility today need to read all of those lines, because I think the greatest problem of the Nigerian state is people who are always clapping and saying all manner of things. At the end of the day, you say, don't speak against the dead, because even though it was evil, speak nice of them. But the dead person has created some anarchy situation for people who are alive, that even right now, the living are facing almost like a death situation because of policies and programs of those who are passed on. So sometimes it is important when we talked about what the dead did, particularly those who were ever attended leadership.
All right, let me go to Dr. Anosike. We all remember how he banned Twitter. And of course, he even went ahead to say lazy Nigerian youth. And let's not forget that at that time, 70% of the population of Nigeria are under 30. He ignored all their struggles, and of course, he became a trend. They said Nigerian youths were saying they were not lazy and started giving emphasis on that. And he also closed the border. We all know, remember. And prices of food skyrocketed and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I'm not really a Buhari fan, but I'm happy that he ruled this country. I am very, very happy, because if he did not rule and he died, people would have been going to his grave to worship him. That this is the president that Nigeria never had. Understand me? So I'm happy that he ruled and he was demystified. Understand? That this guy has nothing upstairs. So if officially, now they say that he died at 82. So if he died at 82, he left the office 10 years ago, which means he was 72. Understand me? So should a 72-old man everywhere still agile? Understand me? Donald Trump is 79, but he is still agile. So that you were calling him Baba Ghost Noise because there's nothing upstairs. He is dull in everything. Even the kick against the indiscipline that they were talking about, he wasn't behind it. It was Tunde Idiabo that was behind it. Tunde Idiabo, that was the enforcement officer.
Okay.
When he was made the chairman of PTF, he ran PTF with a team of consultants. That was why when 2.8 billion missed then, he said that he's not aware because he wasn't in charge. Understand me?
Would he have been able to know if the documents were shown to him, to know the difference, whether the money was missing?
Well,
if somebody's Y certificate, for instance, was a major issue.
He scored F in mathematics. And you cannot go far in this world if you don't know mathematics. Everything in the world revolves around mathematics. Understand me? So, I know that Buhari will never make a good president right from day one. And for crying in 2011, this is a deception, which have been taught in the army. Understand me? It's deception which senior officers are being taught in the army. Because when Murtala Mohammed was head of state, Obasanjo was telling his wife Adekunle, that's Adekunle then, that it was him that was supposed to be the head of state because that is more intelligent than Murtala Mohammed. Understand me? So even there was a time when, if you read Adekunle's interview, she said that there was at a point in time she was pregnant. Understand? And Obasanjo was beating her, Montana came to separate them. Obasanjo left Adekunle and began to fight Montana Mohammed. The kind of transfer of anger. Okay. Understand? But when Montana died, and Obasanjo was reading an acceptance speech as a head of state, he was crying. Why in his mind? I mean, he was already thinking of becoming a head of state. Understand me? So this is the deception. And again, when in 1998-99, because Montana Babangida was afraid of Ernest Ekwueme becoming the presidential candidate of PDP. They have to go to Yonda prison, where Obasanjo was, to bring him out that to contest. Obasanjo asked Obasanjo, that's Babangida team, how many head of state do you want to make out of me? Understand me? I have been a head of state before. They said, don't worry, come. When he became president, what happened? After 2 terms, he was looking for another term. So this is the deception that is being taught to senior officers in the army. So that he cried is just a deception. Understand me? It's just a deception. This guy is a born despot. He's a born despot, and he never changed until his death. He knew that he messed up the economy. That's why he was telling Nigerians that Nigerians will miss me. Because he knew that it will be difficult for Tinubu to pack up the best that he has caused. And today, people are saying that Buhari's government is better than that of Tinubu. Why he is the one that caused it? Because he messed up the economy.
All right, we're pressed for time. We have to wrap it up. Let me give this one to Austin before we go, because just in 1 minute, what should our current leaders learn from Buhari's legacy? Taking a look at the way people are talking about him now. I know on social media, a lot of Nigerians are remembering all the sordid things he actually did. And what should our leaders take from that? And of course, make sure that they have a better legacy that they will be remembered for when they leave.
Okay, you're talking about President Tinubu?
Others, not only Tinubu, we're talking about a lot of other leaders, because Tinubu is not going to be the last president of Nigeria, definitely. We're going to have more.
No. Okay, for the now, you focus on the current. So for the current, because the thing is happening now, so we have an opportunity to speak to the current. You've got to look at what actually means, what is leadership means for the ordinary people. How many people right now, because when you talk about, I mean, my guest colleague I just talked about Buhari setting the stage for failure of an economy. But before Tinubu came, he knew there was already a challenge in the economy. He came in with strategic solution. He came in on the first day of office that they was going to remove fuel subsidy. And at the end of the day, he did. So he thought that was the trajectory to go. In policy formulation, you've got to do strategic intervention in a way that before you take a strategic decision, and for a policy decision, there needs to be an alternative mark that when this fail in 2 months, in 6 months, in 5 months, and you must get an alternative feedback mechanism, not from your appointees, but most of the things we get from leaders, particularly political leaders, a sycophancy. They listen to sycophant, and that was the bane of Buhari's administration. Sycophancy. People always find a way to guard against anybody who will speak truth to the president. They never want them to see him or her. In this case, Mr. President, President Tinubu, the one that is side of responsibility, you've got to create an alternative feedback mechanism that your appointees should not even know. It's your responsibility. Walk up in the middle of the night, take a walk around the city by yourself. Go and look at projects. I mean, sometimes they fear this death and they refer to I missed his name now. The president who was the head of state was assassinated in 1979 before Basanjo became head of state.
Murtala
And people
Muhammad.
look at that and, sir, Murtala Mohammed said that no, it's not good for the president to work alone. These are all created. You guard him against truth to power. You guard him against people who will be able to say things to him. Even when he has a private visitor that will speak through to him, you try to teleguide that person on the way to say it so that it doesn't speak through. All previous presidents, including former President Goodluck Jonathan, fell into that same thing. You only hear what you want to hear. Newspapers are there to read. Opinion pieces are there to read. Social media are there to read. If you want to truly intervene, when President Tinubu will say that they are insulting him on social media, it is not the best. Rather than react negatively, react positively by adjusting your policy direction.
Thank you very much, Austin. I would have loved to give Dr. Anaskil more things to say, but I know he has already said a lot. I want to also say thank you, Dr. Anaskil, for being awesome on the show this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much, Austin, for also being awesome on the issues this evening. All right, that's how we wrap it up as Nigeria stands at a critical crossroads between memory and accountability, between hardship and hope. The issues remains your platform for deep, unfiltered conversation, whether it's mourning a former president, confronting painful legacies, or charting a new political future. We ask the tough questions and amplify the voices shaping tomorrow. Join us next time right here on The Issues, where facts lead the dialogue and the people drive the agenda. I am Jerry Apelioi, and this has been The Issues on Voice of the People Television.